with The Real Cinemas Blackpool and Ballincollig and online at therealpicture.com.
In a world where there's a million movie podcasts, here comes another one from themoviebit.com. This is the podcast.
Christ. Who taught you that technique? A friggin' cheese grater?
Anything gets more than 3 blocks out, you turn it backward, you turn it to ash. So you listen to me and you listen well.
Hey everybody, how we doing? Welcome to the podcast from themoviebit.com. My name is Victor Barry. Over there is not Tom White. Unfortunately, Tom is a bit on the sick side this evening. If rumours are to be true, no, Tom isn't feeling very well, so we wish Tom the very, very best, and hopefully he'll be back with us next week. So what this means now is I'm going to bitch and moan for the next while about how I'm going to be doing far too much. Essentially what we've got going on here is I'm going to drive the video side of it. Of course, we are live on Facebook Live. We are driving the audio side of it as well in another room. So all of this will go absolutely swimmingly. Anyway, we are all here with thanks to our official sponsors, The Real Picture Cinemas Blackpool and Ballincollig. You can check them out online at therealpicture.com. So, if you want to interact, there is a couple of ways that you can do that. You can send us a carrier pigeon. You can email podcast@themoviebit.com. You can drop a comment on the Facebook Live video. And of course, you can hit us up on Twitter as well. And of course, the old Twitter URL is at @themoviebit. I see Tom is watching. Not too sick to watch, Tom. That's good to know, isn't it? Isn't that good to know, everybody? Tom's not too sick to watch. Well, that's good. But get better anyway, Tom. And yeah. Right, so let's see. Can we figure this out? For those of you watching, you're kind of going, well, fucking hell. Should this not have ended a long time ago? No, it shouldn't. Right, where are we gone? Lads, this is awful. This is just awful. God damn it. God damn it. If you're listening to the usual podcast and you're looking at the Facebook video, you're probably going, well, fucking hell. Nothing has really changed. But we like to start each and every show by giving you stuff from Tom that, we call this stuff that you wouldn't learn anywhere else. So we call this Tom's Trivia 3, even though it's Vic's Trivia 3 this evening.
Tom's Trivia 3.
Yeah, it's Vic's Trivia 3 tonight. Thanks, Tom. Anyway, let's get going. Robert Englund cut himself the first time he tried on Freddy Krueger's glove. Get that? Is that not like one of these freaky kind of... I don't know, is that bullshit? Did Tom make this up? And it's all gone wrong, and it's all gone wrong. That kind of sounds to me like one of these movie folklore things where, you know, like Jim Caviezel was struck down 1,000,000 times by lightning when he was doing The Passion of the Christ, and Robert Englund cut himself the first time he tried on Freddy Krueger's glove. But hey, listen, that'll get you laid down the pub. The spear weapon that was used in Predator 2 disappeared and was reported as stolen after filming was completed. Something you didn't know. Fucking hell, lads. That probably happens on a lot of movie sets where stuff gets stolen quite a bit. And finally, Leonard Nimoy was one of the choices considered for directing Lethal Weapon, but he didn't feel comfortable doing action movies and was working on 3 Men and a Baby at the time. And we all know how that turned out for Leonard Nimoy, and we all know how that turned out for Richard Donner. I don't think Leonard Nimoy's style, may he rest in peace, would have suited the whole Lethal Weapon thing. I don't think it would. It would have been Lethal Weapon, yeah. A not so dangerous weapon, possibly. And maybe if Richard Donner did 3 Men and a Baby, it would have been a totally different thing altogether. But anyway. So there you go. That's Tom's Trivia 3 done and dusted for this week. We're live on Facebook video. We'll be a bit delayed getting to any comments and all of that jazz, because we're trying to do 1,000,000 things at once. Somebody somewhere is going, well, that's the 15th time he's moaned. But anyway, so moving on. Reviews this week. There's a whole ton of things out movie-wise this week. We've got all the reviews that you can see, some of them on themoviebit.com, and of course you can read and watch the rest of them here. First up, Tom had lots of love for the Blair Witch Project, Also available on the moviebit.com, The Girl with All the Gifts. Martin, who's a new member of the writing crew here, said that it's well-paced, emotionally driven zombie movie experience, and it should rank up there with the best horror of 2016. 4 stars. The Infiltrator, all you Breaking Bad fans would love The Infiltrator. Theoretically, why? Because, of course, it's got Bryan Cranston. And according to Martin, it's not essential viewing by any means, but a satisfying excursion into the rapidly expanding field of the narco thriller. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are watching Narcos. I'm still getting through slowly season 2. I will get there in the end. I just don't find the time. But season 2 is as epic as season 1 so far, and I'm only about maybe 5 episodes in to season 2. And stupidly, I read a spoiler for what happens in season 2. So, yeah. And so keeping with The Infiltrator, it's not essential viewing, but it's 3 stars. And then going from very good to The Girl with All the Gifts to very bad with The Magnificent Seven. Here is this big kind of tentpole movie with a huge cast, including Denzel Washington and Chris Pratt. And while there are certainly some thrills to be had here, it's without any real emotional depth. The Magnificent Seven is sadly forgettable, according to Matt, and he's given it 2 stars. So the full reviews, you can read those on themoviebit.com. For me, though, this week, we're slightly late in the review with it, but, whatever, we're here with it now. And that's The Young Offenders, which is an Irish movie. You can say it's a Cork movie if you wish. And it's kind of rare to have the words breath of fresh air associated with Irish film. Not to say that the Irish film industry is a pile of junk, it's far from it. We've got lots of talented people, lots of them have moved abroad to do other things in the film industry. But a lot of the time, Irish movies are steeped in misery, zombies, and more misery. But Peter Foot's Young Offenders is genuinely something different. In fact, the movie is so refreshing. It's genuinely one of the best Irish movies for years. I don't say that lightly. I've a love-hate relationship with the Irish film industry, particularly a lot of Irish film, because a lot of it is misery and fucking zombies. But this is a genuine breath of fresh air. The story revolves, most of you should be able to remember this. If you don't remember this story, or you weren't born in 2007, you probably shouldn't be looking or listening to this shit. But it's set around a massive €440 million cocaine haul that was happening in West Cork in 2007. And 2 teenagers, Jock and Connor, set off on a road trip to claim a bale of coke, which is worth about $7 million in their head. Coupled with a bike-obsessed Garda, who's a cop for American readers, a local psycho, and an alcoholic farmer, as well as an nail-gun-wielding drug dealer. This is quite the road trip. Not since Neil Jordan's Ondine has there been a better advertisement for West Cork. In fact, this is some of the most stunning footage that you will see of the Wild Atlantic Way in quite some time, in a movie anyway, as opposed to one of those ads that are done specifically for it. Young Offenders is beautifully shot. It's got stunning drone style footage. It's combined with some wonderful on the ground cinematography, and it really kind of showcases one of the most beautiful pieces of coastline in the world. And I'm not saying that because I'm literally 5 minutes away from it. It is genuinely a stunning place. And for any of our long distance viewers, haul ass over here and go check this place out, because it really is incredible. Like, as good as things look though in a movie, it's nothing without a story and a decent performance or 2 or 3 to carry it over the line. And newcomers Chris Wally and Alex Murphy are the best things here. These are 2 guys that the audition process rather, for Young Offenders simply involved tons of interviews, hundreds and hundreds of interviews. If you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, then you will be able to listen to Peter Foot explain exactly how they cast our 2 leads here. And these guys bounce off of each other, and these guys deliver a performance that genuinely is like actors at the peak of their career. Like, given this is their first feature, the future is going to be huge for these guys. They really have an insane chemistry. It's incredible. The rest of the cast are decent enough as well. Hilary Rose and Pascal Scott being particularly likeable, while PJ Gallagher's nail gun wielding drug dealing lunatic is okay. His performance is a bit contrived. It's a bit dragged out in places. It's a bit kind of too surreal in comparison to the rest of the movie. While the rest of the movie, as bizarre as it might sound to some people, it is grounded in reality. It is very character driven between the two characters. But PJ Gallagher's character just tips the balance a bit for me. There's a great soundtrack here as well, but at times the soundtrack is very overpowering because it's these big epic numbers that kind of almost happen one after the other from scene to scene to scene. At times you're like going, is this turning into a fucking musical? But there's a great part with the Sultans of Ping, Where's Me Jumper. So soundtrack is great, maybe a little bit overused, but I'm really nitpicking here because I'm trying to find shit that's not right with this. Story for the most part is decent. It's not, if not a little bit predictable. There's a few scenes kind of do feel like they're in there just to run up to fatten up the running time. The scene with Pascal Scott, while it's very, very well done, Pascal is great. It just doesn't add a lot. It just seems to outstay its welcome ever so slightly for my liking. But look, these are minor gripes, and it doesn't detract from the overall experience of Young Offenders. And I get while the Cork humour, and it's full of Cork humour, may get lost for some members of the audience, it's still a hilarious comedy. You cannot find fault with the comedic beats and all of this. And the thing is, Young Offenders has got this huge, enormous Godzilla-style heart that it wears truly and proudly on its sleeve. And, whatever kind of preconceived notions that you might have about the Irish film industry, be it misery and zombies and more misery and so on, forget about those notions that you might have, and genuinely, you do need to go to see The Young Offenders. It is one of the most refreshing movies you'll see all year. It's one of the best Irish movies in years. You gotta check it out. Young Offenders, a whopping 4 stars. Do not miss it. Don't mind that Bridget Jones shit. Go to see Young Offenders. That's probably the best quote we could give. Fuck that Bridget Jones stuff. Go to see Young Offenders. I know people are fucking pissing in their pants for Bridget Jones, but it's funny with Bridget Jones, actually. The American audiences have given it a whopping $8 million of their dollars, while European audiences haven't given it $38 million. So while some may say it's a great comeback for Renee Zellweger, a lot of people are saying, fuck off, Bridget Jones, enough is enough. Speaking of enough, it is time to unleash our critically acclaimed screen actor in a movie that he hasn't starred in as of yet.
A critically acclaimed screen actor quotes movies he hasn't starred in.
Hey, look, friend, let's just cut to shit. Now, we both know why I was transferred. Everyone thinks I'm suicidal, in which case, I'm fucked and nobody wants to work with me. Or they think I'm faking to draw a psycho pension, in which case, I'm fucked and nobody wants to work with me. Basically, I'm fucked.
Just the story of a lot of our lives, really. We're fucked. I'm not sure about him for Lethal Weapon, but yeah, maybe back in the day. Maybe back in the day. Anyway, if you're watching live on Facebook, you can drop us a comment. You can hit us up on Twitter as well, @TheMovieBit. And of course, you can email if you're on the old-fashioned email as well, podcast@themoviebit.com. Tom isn't here this evening. He's dead. But we drive on without poor Tom. Anyway, right. We were talking about the Young Offenders there as well momentarily. And just before we kind of start bumping into the news, well, we are bumping into the news. It's been a good opening couple of days for the Young Offenders. So we've given it 4 stars. It's opened in cinemas across the country a couple of days ago. And the weekend box office has been counted in Ireland. And it has achieved the highest opening for an Irish film at the Republic of Ireland box office this year. Film opened with a total of €202,000. That included previews with some cinemas that haven't handed in their box office figures to the studio yet. But it's charted ahead of new releases like The Infiltrator and the horror sequel, The Blair Witch. So there you go. So $202,000 may God bless this, made it powers the mountains, man. May that keep rising, and go see The Young Offenders. Genuinely, we can't say enough about it. I know people have I was looking at some stuff on Reddit and some stuff on various websites, and people were like, "Oh, sure, Jesus Christ, people will always back their own." It's not necessarily backing their own. Irish people are begrudging by nature, so any opportunity we have to begrudge something one of our own has done, then let's light up the pitchforks. But genuinely, credit where it is due. The Young Offenders is certainly what watch. So good news for that. Harry Potter's house is for sale. 4 Privet Drive. All you Harry Potter fans, which I'm not, will be well aware of that. It's going under the auctioneer's gavel. His navel, maybe, or hers. While in the movie it was located in Surrey, the house's real-life address is 12 Picket Post Close in Martinshurn, Bracknell. And it was only used in the first movie. For all you Harry Potter fans who don't need to be told that, prefer everybody else, you're going, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. It's well known, right? The house's listing is strangely devoid of any of its cinematic lineage, and there is no mention of cupboards under stairs or any of that kind of jazz. If you're in the market for a new gaff, though, and you've got $619,000, or you've got €555,000, or you've got £475,000, then this is the house for you. We've got some images of it, but stall the ball there now. If you're listening just to the podcast, obviously you can't see these. Why? Because, well, it's audio, isn't it? Yeah. So we've grabbed a couple of screen grabs of these here. So I'm going to throw one of these up on the Facebook live stream right now. Here's one. Let's see. Let's go with the outside first. Here's the outside of the gaff. Looking lovely. Lovely, clean. You would never think, my God, one of the most famous houses in the world. Here's another image of it. Here is their kitchen. Just no double oven there, no lads. Just an old dishwasher, hob and an oven. There's a toaster. I'm not sure. The most important thing with any toaster is it's 4 slices. I can't really see from here if it's a 4-slice toaster. If you have a 2-slice toaster, then time to give up the game, really, isn't it? Here's their, it looks like a living cum dining room. Nice and kind of, I suppose there's a table shoved into the corner. There's a kind of a pale blue. It looks nothing like the fucking house in Harry Potter, basically. And here's the back garden as well, which looks genuinely well kept. Looking at another picture of it as well, there's a shed down the end, so freshly mowed lawns. Plastic chair at the back, and the gaff is there. So, yeah, as we said, you need around $500,000 to get into the old Harry Potter gaff and drive on. Also, in movie news, by the way, drop us a comment. We're here, we're flying solo even this evening on Facebook Live, and of course in the podcast. Subscribe and Stitcher and iTunes, and you get all of our content for free. Every last nanobite you get for free. It's all there. You can get the interview with Peter Foot. That's there right now. So subscribe and you can grab that and everything else that's gone on there as well. So moving on as well on the box office front as well, going back to the Irish box office, something that's just come into your inbox in the last 20 minutes is that Disney and Pixar's Finding Dory has become Ireland's biggest film of the year after taking €4.451 million. That's in the press release, to be precise. €4.451 million. So there you go. And Disney now have 4 films sitting within the top films released in 2016 across Ireland. Finding Dory. The Jungle Book is in 3rd place with 4.332 million. Captain America Civil War sits in 7th place with 3.265 million. And Zootropolis sits as the 8th biggest film of 2016 with 2.838 million yo-yo in the bank. So there. And then we've been talking in the last couple of weeks about Mission Impossible 6, whether it's going to happen, whether it's not going to happen. Most of the cast were on board. We were under the impression that it was a go. Unfortunately, it wasn't a go because Tom Cruise and company were negotiating, shall we say. They weren't completely on board, and all things kind of went to a bit of a stop while they started to figure things out. And now, though, they've agreed a deal, which is obviously was always going to happen. Let's be honest, Cruise is a great actor. The Mission Impossible franchise is $1 billion franchise. They weren't just about to leave the star of the whole lot. walk away, surely. No. Well, they didn't. According to the Hollywood Reporter, they're very, very close to closing out the deal. So he will be back. We're expecting at this stage. He's going to team up again with Jack Reacher and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation director Chris McQuarrie. And the movie is now going to start rolling into production in the next couple of months, pre-production, and then this should start shooting in spring of 2017. So that will be summer 2018 or maybe a late 2017. It won't be fucking 2017. That'll come out. It'll be maybe early 2018. So that's something to keep an eye on. So finally, people, just one last thing that we have to do on the news before we get out of here is that we didn't win. We came second, which is just shit, really, isn't it? We came second at the Block Awards in the TV and film category, and indeed arts and culture as well. So we're kind of pretty thrilled with that, if truth be told. So we got silver in arts and culture, silver in TV and film. So well done to all the winners up there on the night. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there as I was travelling. But thanks to Louise for being there as well, sweating it out with the rest of us while we were here kind of, refresh, finding out what was going on. So thanks to everybody who voted that got us in there in the first place. Pardon me as I'm just looking at something else here, trying to keep this thing on without it keeling over. So thanks to everybody who voted to get us there and to get us shortlisted, and it's good. We're fucking happy to be one of the best movie sites in the country. So thanks to everybody for voting on that. Hang on, let me get out the badge here, because they sent a badge that we'll get up on the site. We'll get it up on the site somewhere. Hang on. Let me see. Can I get this up? Said no man, nowhere, anytime, ever before. There we go. That's what it kind of looks like. That's what they sent. So no physical trophy like we have downstairs, but there's the badge, silver winner. So we have that by 2. Maybe if you printed it out, it might be worth something. Anyway, hang on. Let me shut this off the screen. Thank you very much. There you go. So that's kind of it. Obviously a bit of a shorter podcast, as there's not two of us rambling and screaming and shouting and kicking each other. But I think we're all covered. So movie-wise, this week, if you want to go see anything, go see The Young Offenders. If you have seen it and you're looking for something else to go to see, then The Girl with All the Gifts, if you're a zombie fan. Obviously, there's people, diehard Western fans as well. So, Magnificent Seven, be warned, though, it's not the best, and that's not only just us that's saying it. That seems to be the general tone about the Magnificent Seven right across the world. So, Chris Pratt can do wrong, unfortunately. So, that is it. Please subscribe to the podcast. You can do so by subscribing to the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. You go to themoviebit.com, you'll see all the links there, and of course follow us on Facebook, and you'll get a notification each and every time that we are live on the big bad Mark Zuckerberg house. So there you go. Hang on, Steve has just left a comment on Facebook just before we get out of here. Well done, thanks Steve. Is that for the comment, or is that for the prize, the silver? Sound. Thanks a million. So yeah, that's it. We are done. So subscribe, podcast, Stitcher, iTunes, follow on Facebook, drop by themoviebit.com, and of course you can also email anything that you want, podcast@themoviebit.com, and we shall bring that to the next podcast, which of course will be next week. So that's it. We've told you all the shit. We're going to get out of here and put the audio version of this bitch together, and yeah, that's it, people. Is there a post show thing? Is there a post show thing? Maybe there is.
The MovieBit.com podcasts. Available on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, direct download, and streaming on the MovieBit.com. Streaming and creaming. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like there is a poll show thing. If you're listening on the podcast, this is the poll show as well. There is no poll show this week. I can go into a boring fucking anecdote about how the hairdresser went zzz a little bit too much, would you like to the beard? Yeah. Normally they say, would you like to trim the beard? I just assumed that's what she said, and she took it all off. That is our post podcast show for this week. So we have more hair on the backs of her knees now than we do on her entire head. Isn't that attractive, Kitty Winks? Right. See you later. Goodbye, everybody.